Hello there, Hampton Park honey fans. It's Mike here. It is Sunday, April 10th, and I just got done inspecting the hives. For those of you who either didn't get to hear about it or forgot, because I really haven't been that good at posting lately, is we had the problem where I had 3 of my 5 colonies die out over the winter. So that left me with 2. I actually thought one of them was queenless. It had such few numbers, but then she apparently just got a late start and started going. That was this one right here, Ocean View. But this brick house one was going gangbusters. There were a lot of bees in here, and a queen that was laying strong. And you know, this is the month where numbers really start exploding. Our biggest concern as beekeepers is making it until about the middle of March in general, because that is when the weather turns a corner, there starts to become pollen, and they can actually start getting new food rather than depending on their old reserves. So until mid-March, there's the risk of starvation, even if the weather isn't too bad temperature-wise. But we've also been having horrible rainy weather, so there hasn't been as much free time for them to come out in April. But here's what I did today. I knew that also April is swarm season. So after they're past the Ides of March with their risks of dying out, the month of April, they start building up brood. The queen starts laying like crazy, and in a reproductive sense, what they want to do is they want to reproduce the colony. They always want to have it where in nature, the old queen will lay up a bunch of eggs, crowd up the hive, and then they will raise some new queen cells to raise up a new queen, and the old queen will swarm off with half the colony and find a new place to start a new colony. And then all of a sudden, now if everything's successful, one colony becomes 2 colonies, and that's how they reproduce, so you don't have to depend on the same location. Beekeepers don't want that to happen, because you lose half your colony, and they're the ones who bring in the nectar that makes honey. That is what I'm partly here for. I do enjoy their just the life of beekeeping in general, but having honey is nice too. So what I'm trying to do, what I did to prevent a swarm, is I did a colony split. Not with this one. This guy here is doing just fine. It was low numbers. It has a pretty good number of brood now. So I just kind of moved things around to give them a little extra room, and I just did some management stuff on it. But this guy here, what I did is I went through and found the queen, and I moved her with a couple frames of brood over to one of my dead out hives, namely this one here. This is my fossil box. I only have 1 box here because, again, it was empty. There's just not a lot of room on here. I mean, I would think maybe even this guy, this Blue Ocean View, probably could be fine with just 1 box. 2 is getting a little heavy, but I'm just staying maybe a bit optimistic for they have extra room to lay extra eggs. But back to this one here. What I did is I moved her over with a couple frames of brood, so that they have ability to continue to raise new queens, and the other, or not new queens, new workers, because part of the problem is also that you need younger bees that aren't oriented towards that old hive, and considering that their home with their built-in GPS, and the younger bees will, having not done any orientation flights, stick around here, raise up the babies, and go from there. And so they will eventually move on as they get older to become the foragers. So the cool part is I've got my queen in here laying hopefully some new eggs anytime now, and building up colony number 3. But what happens here? So what I did is I deliberately left 2 frames of brood back behind here, and I especially wanted to make sure there was a good full frame of eggs, because Now, these guys are probably already in a panic because they can't smell the queen's pheromones. They know she is gone. So what they're going to do is they're going to raise a new queen out of those eggs. They're going to feed her royal jelly, or the eggs and larvae royal jelly throughout their development stage until they become a pupa, and they're going to bring up a new queen who will then mate with some drone bees and start over here. And what that's going to do is not only, yeah, it's going to set things back a while because they're not going to have any new brood being produced, but it also is going to be a swarm prevention technique because from their perspective, the old queen is gone. They don't really know what happened to her, but she's gone. So there is no reason to even think about swarming now. Now it's like, oh no, let's make a new bee, a new queen. So this will be the thing I'm going to check in another week to a week and a half to make sure everything went properly. And what I'm going to look for are the queen cells, which have a very distinct appearance compared to other developing pupae. And if that's successful, then of course after that the next step is to make sure that the queen develops, emerges, and after hopefully some good mating flights starts laying eggs of her own. But to simplify the math, I've set this thing back about 1 month. That's about the amount of time it would take for her to grow up, mate, develop into a laying adult, and start laying new eggs. But the timing is important because, again, this is May 10, and my goal is to really get some good production going by the time nectar flow happens. In this part of the country, in Illinois, that is around the middle of May where the main nectar flow begins until the middle of, or the end of June. So if I have a new queen going on there and she's laying more eggs, she'll be already building up the hive around the time when there's going to be a lot of new nectar coming in. And this one will just keep getting better, and this one hopefully will be getting stronger and stronger. And then as for my last little resource hive here, I'm not going to be considering this one as anything for honey production. This is just going to be a couple of small colonies that are going to just provide support for the other ones, and I just wanted to have enough resources to stay alive through the year and through the next winter and be more of a ancillary colony. But that's the explanation of what I did today. So I'm really trying to work on getting a harvest before August this year, if I can at all pull it off. There's some things that are out of my control, and I'm certainly stretching the situation by not buying new packages of bees, but with packages costing about $140 each or more, I need to recover some of my old expenses first. So here we are. Have a great week ahead, everybody.